In our 7 Up Front segment tonight, we're taking a closer look at the COVID-19 pandemic in our state, election issues, and even guns at the state capitol. Joining us now is Michigan State Senator Jim Runestad, who represents Western Oakland County. Senator, thank you for being here. Last night, legislature passed more than a dozen bills, as Glenda mentioned, including several to protect people during this pandemic. That bill to extend unemployment benefits from 20 to 26 weeks for Michigan residents for the rest of the year was one of those bills. It replaces the governor's earlier executive order. How important was this step for the legislature to take on behalf of residents?
Well, it was a very important step. We still are dealing with this pandemic. Much of our economy is still closed down. There's a lot of small businesses on a turn. And in terms of all of these bills that we're passing, we're trying to look one by one at what the governor's executive orders were and what is reasonable to pass. We are looking at these very diligently to make sure that what we're doing is keeping people safe and continue to operate our economy. There's people I've talked to that can't get their driver's license, and we don't want running into problems. There's a lot of issues still with the unemployment insurance office. So this is what our Constitution required, is that the governor worked with the legislature. We passed a bunch of bipartisan bills dealing with all of this. So it's exactly what should have been done very early in this process.
And obviously it took negotiations with the governor to come up with these bills. Can we view this as some sort of a positive development given the partisanship that clearly exists between the legislature and this governor?
Absolutely. It's, I think, one of the biggest breath of fresh air that we have had during this virus in terms of this wrangling, where we wanted input on what these bills are going to look like, what these executive orders are going to do. And finally, because of the court ruling that said that the governor's executive order operating independently of the legislature doing constitutional, she has to involve the legislature. She's been doing that. It's been bipartisan. It was wonderful to see.
All right, back to the pandemic for a moment. We're now being warned about the potential of a second wave of the virus. What more can the legislature do to protect residents here in Michigan?
We are meeting every week in session. We are having Zoom calls. We are having strategic meetings. We are staying on top of these things. We're tracking this stuff. This is what should have been done at the beginning. The legislature cares about the life and safety of the citizens of the state of Michigan as much as the governor does. So we are going to be all over this, watching these developments and seeing what needs to be done as they progress.
Following the alleged kidnapping plot against Governor Whitmer, is it time for the legislature to act to ban guns at the Capitol? And if not, why not?
Well, I can say I've been now the legislature for almost 6 years. I've seen guns very, very plentiful as long as I've been there. I personally have not felt a threat. We have the best sergeants there is, I think, in the nation that are protecting us. So it's something that you have to really be careful when you're balancing constitutional rights and safety. I understand there's a bill in the legislature. I haven't seen that. I'll have to take a look at that, see how vast what they're talking about. So it's something I'll take a look at.
I think a lot of people are ready for you to look at that seriously, for sure. 20 days away from the election now. It's going to be different, Senator, than any we've experienced before. Should the legislature consider additional support beyond the 10 hours that were approved last month for clerks in some cities to process absentee ballots the day before Election Day?
That's something I think that we'll have to look at. I don't sit on the elections committee, and that's where these decisions are made. So I know we have the previous Secretary of State that is the chair of that committee and is very, very concerned about making sure that we have this a very smooth operation. So this is something that there needs to be additional resources. They'll be devoted to it.
All right, very good. State Senator Runestad, we'll leave it there for this evening. Appreciate your time and input on these important questions facing our state. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Be sure to check out our vote in Vote 2020 coverage on WXYZ.com for the latest information on absentee ballots, how to register, even where you can vote this year. It's all on the homepage of our website at WXYZ.com.